Jackii Lawrence. She was born May 28th, 1964 in St. Andrew, Jamaica. All right now. She is the daughter of Levi and Myra Hibbert and the baby of 10 children. She immigrated to Los Angeles, California at age 10 with her family. She graduated from Crenshaw High School in 1982 and went to graduate from California State University, Long Beach in 1986 with a BS in criminal justice. She also obtained her paralegal certification from the same university in 1988. She has worked for over 30 years in the legal field as a paralegal. She later attended graduate school at California State University, Dominguez Hills, and in 2008 received a master's degree in conflict resolution with an emphasis on mediation. She is developing a mediation consultancy business because her passion is to help others see and develop their full potential. The author enjoys spending time with her son Joseph and her daughter Leah and her family. She also likes traveling around the world, listening to live music, going to the spa, shopping, meeting new people, and she spends time at LA Community Church, a member since age 11, constantly growing and developing her skill as a disciple for Christ. She has spent most of her adult life counseling and encouraging people, starting with her children, family members, co-workers, and anyone, or shall I say co-workers, and anyone who reaches out to her. Welcome to the Reading Circle microphones, Jackii Lawrence. Jackii, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, I tell you, for it to be 4 o'clock in the morning there, you seem up and lively.
I'm usually up at 4:30 every morning.
Oh, so this is kind of like the norm for you. So that's not that bad. I don't feel too bad then.
It's scary. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, and they're like, "Why are you up so early?" I'm always up at 4:30.
Well, for Saturday is the only morning that I get up at 4:30. I get up the alarm goes off at 4:20, and by the time I get out of bed, it is about 4:30. So Saturday morning is the only morning I do that, because the rest of the week I get up at around 6. So Saturday mornings I get up early so I can be on the air by 6. So wow, if you're up that early every day, then I really don't feel too bad. Then I mean, still early.
Bad. Saturday morning I may linger on until 7 on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, but for those of us who are later people, because I think the older I get, the more I'm switching over to being a morning person, because in my younger days, I was totally a night person. I could stay up all night and go to bed and then sleep a little bit later in the morning. But now it's almost like the reverse. I'm going to bed earlier and I'm getting up earlier. But there are some, the morning is a beautiful time of the day. It really is. I mean, on the mornings when I do have to get up and get out early to be out when sun is coming up or what have you, it's so peaceful and quiet. It just at one point was not my time of the day. So for the people who enjoy that time of the day, and I hope there's a lot of them, because this is an early morning show, so I'm hoping there are a lot of people that this is their time of the day and they're up and listening.
Right.
All right, so there are a couple of things in your bio right off the bat before we even get into the interview. I see you were born in St. Andrew, Jamaica. How long did you stay in Jamaica? You said 10 years?
I left there when I was 10, yeah.
So it's not like you were born here and just happened to be of Jamaican parents. You actually lived there.
Oh, yeah, I go home every year.
Okay, now the reason I ask is because my wife is from Jamaica. She's from the Kingston. That's right. She's from the Kingston area, in the Stony Hill, the Constant Spring, in that area up in there.
Exactly. I know exactly. I'm near Papine.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, I tell you, I've had the opportunity to drive almost that entire island. I've taken it all the way up one side of it, because I've driven all the way from Kingston to Negril. I've driven from Kingston to Montego Bay. I've driven from Kingston to Ocho Rios. So I've driven up that whole side of the island. The side that I didn't get to, I think, is the Portland side, or the bottom side down in there. I don't think
that's nice side.
Yeah, I haven't been down in that area, but I've driven all the way up the side to Negril.
So you appreciate the new highway then?
Yes, for sure. For sure. As a matter of fact, my wife was back last year. I didn't go back last year, so I haven't been there in a couple of years. So I'm sure, because each year that we go, the highway was extended. They've completed more and more of it. Mm-hmm. So I know the part between Ocho Rios and Montego Bay was done at that point when I was there. I know that part was done. So
so Kingston, you can go to Kingston from OT boy in not even 1 hour, 55 minutes. Boom.
Wow, because the first time we did it going the back way before the new highway was almost 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
So now you're saying you could do it in about an hour?
Hour, yeah, about 55 minutes.
Wow, that is really an improvement. But people, since I'm American, or from America, when I tell people that I've driven it, they look at me like I have three heads. Like, what? You can drive over there? Yeah, I know how to drive over there.
Well, I commend you, because I don't do the opposite side of the road. Now, my brothers, as soon as they land, they just adjust and just go. Not me. I'm frightened.
Well, see, I'm just like, as soon as we land, we get to rent a car, and I'm off and running. So my father-in-law was like, wow, you really must be a driver. I said, yeah, I am, actually.
Yeah.
Said, if you come over here.
If you know Stony Hill, going up in those hills.
Yes.
You have to be a skillful driver.
Yes. And that's where we go. We go up to that Stony Hill and that Constant Spring and that whole area. And you're absolutely right. The roads are narrow, and we're on the other side of the road, the other side of the car.
One lane. Let them pass. Unbelievable.
That's absolutely right. So, okay, I saw that in the bio, so immediately I said I was going to ask you about that. Crenshaw High, isn't that like one of their most famous high schools out there?
That's right, Cougars, baby.
Right. So
50 years. 50 years of the high school in, 2 days? That's right.
So I saw that. I said, okay, Crenshaw High, I know that. So I'm just reading through and they're like, all right. And then now, and you're also at one of the most famous churches out there, the LA Community Church.
Well, yeah, our church, I think our church is one of the oldest. Not that it's like small,
right.
Not as big as those big, gigantic churches. It's one of those amazing churches that's constantly growing and developing. You know? So, I'm pretty happy about that.
All right. So, that's the first part of the interview in terms of just going through the bio, the connections that are made right off the bat. So, yes. All right. Now, I see the background in criminal justice, the paralegal work and everything. And this is where we kind of work our way into, okay, how did we now move, how did we integrate or become an author, in addition to what you were doing there in the paralegal work?
Well, I think my idea of becoming an author was once I started doing mediation, and I will have like a lot of family mediation. I was initially doing disputes with the city attorney's office for like dog bites, someone, parking in your lawn or going on the other side of the fence. And when you will mediate with these people, their conflict will be like the silliest things that they will be disputing about. So the more I met with people, and even families or husband and wives, their disputes will be like the silliest things that we're not thinking was a big deal and actually is. So the more I met with people, I thought, I think I have to teach them how to approach conflict and understand conflict and realize that sometimes it's not personal, it's not intentional. So I started writing quotes. And, I just thought quote was so important because every day I would hear a different quote. And I said, try to develop on the quotes. So I spent years collecting quotes. I have like about, maybe 70 or 80 quotes. And then I said, well, I'm going to start writing this book. And I had no idea where to start. I was like, what the heck I'm going to do this book? So I went to a couple of seminars, all over that with writing and developing books. And that's what I started doing. I started taking my phone, thank God for my little iPhone, and I started writing notes into my notes, and putting it in. And when I travel, I would just write different notes. And then I would start developing each of the chapters and select, like 15 or 16 of the quotes that I wanted to address. So that's just the premise of the book, was getting quotes that people can relate to and then developing each quote on a subject that they will relate to their personal lives. Some of it is my personal life. Some of it is just general statements that kind of help people to approach conflict.
Now, see, All right, this is very interesting because I don't know if you had the opportunity to catch the first part of the show, because that would have put you up at 3:00 listening in. But in the first hour of the show, because I go on here at 6 and the guests now come on at 7, so that first hour I use for social or political commentary. Otherwise, I'll put on the gospel music. This morning I chose the social commentary route, and what I was talking about was, because I work in the school system every day. I'm the principal of a school, and I was talking in that commentary piece about the level of defiance I'm seeing out of children is like no other. I mean, I've seen various generations come up, but the level of defiance that I see right now is just off the charts. And the reason I'm bringing that up at this point is what you just said in terms of trying to mediate some of these issues. And you were saying how a lot of the issues really, when you boil them down, really comes down to something silly. And that's been my experience working with the children as well. Matter of fact, yesterday, a couple of girls broke out into a fight. And when I got the one of the girls that was fighting to my office, she had to admit that it was silly because the fight broke out because she's telling another child not to talk to another child. Another child overheard her and turned around and said, "I'll smack you." And before you knew it, they had done broke into a full-fledged fight. And it just happened so we happened to be in an auditorium in an assembly program. So now the entire building was in there whenever the thing broke out. So, of course, it gets exacerbated. It gets exaggerated because there's more people there. But when she was talking to me, she was saying, "Mr. Medley, it really was childish." Now, mind you, she's an 8th grader, and she was right. I couldn't agree with her more. I said, "So you're telling me all of this ruckus started because you told another child not to talk to another child, and another child overheard you and turns around. As it turns out, the child she was talking about who not to talk to was this other child's best friend," if you can follow that. And she now jumps into the mix talking about, "I'll smack you," and literally does it.
Yes.
So
it's amazing. It's amazing.
So somebody could actually lose their life over something that simple.
Oh yeah, it's very simple. I mean, in one of my chapters, I think it's chapter 9, it says you don't need to attend every argument that you're invited to.
Absolutely. Because
we're invited to arguments every single day. Only you can decline the invitation.
That's good. I might because a lot of times what I do during the interviews, especially if I get the moment, is to actually quote the author, in one of my Twitter feeds. And that one, I mean, right off the bat, I have to make sure I get that one down and quote it back and I'll give it back the credit to you. But I mean, that is so true that you do not have to attend every argument you're invited to.
No, you have the option. Only you're the one who can decline the invitation.
And I happen to be talking about children, but I've seen it in adults as well.
Oh, it's even more in adults. It's even more progressive in adults. That's why when I have people read my book, it's like I make it a simple, easy read, and at the end of each chapter, there's a consider this to let you reflect on what you read before and how to apply it to your everyday life. And then my very last chapter is on forgiveness, because forgiveness is probably the most important thing that we all need in order to do any of the other things to make our lives more progressive. And the most important thing about forgiveness is realizing it's for us and for the other people.
Correct.
How you talk about the children in school and how they're arguing and they're fighting? I mean, the most important thing is for you to put yourself in the other person's shoes and become more empathetic.
That's correct.
That anger resentment that you have is more empathy. So you're able to forgive. You know how you have family members you can't stand, and you don't want to go to this barbecue because Uncle Bob is going to be there.
Right.
The fact that you gave him the power to control your destiny, it's crazy. You're saying you don't care, but you actually do care.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because you know what? This is the crazy part, Jackii, in terms of, I've seen it where people will go out their way not to speak to somebody. In other words, they're coming right up against, they're coming toward each other. And the person is already put in their mind, I'm not speaking to her, I'm not speaking to him. Do you know it actually, and I know you do know because you wrote the book, it takes more energy not to speak to the person than just to say hello and keep walking?
That's right.
It takes a lot of energy to intentionally walk by somebody and not. Now, people don't realize that, but it takes a lot of energy, because what's going through your mind is, oh God, here she comes. Oh God, here he comes. Oh, I'm not going to speak. Oh, I remember the last time. All that's going on in your mind as you're walking toward the person, and that's sucking up energy.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to come home with you. You don't have to come to my house and have tea. It's just common courtesy. Hey, how you doing? My pet peeve is getting to the elevator and not speaking.
Right.
So I have a bad habit when I get in there, because where I work, I'm always the only black person in any office I go. The minute I step in the elevator and I just open the door and they're standing there, I just say, I'm fine, thank you.
And this years ago, going back into the 90s, I used to work for AT&T, large at that time. I mean, because AT&T now is a different AT&T than it was back in the day, whenever that was landlines and the only thing in town.
Yes.
Okay, because now it's a whole different world in telecommunications. But I worked when I was in their headquarters, when they were headquartered in New Jersey, and we would have this very energetic, happy, older African-American male security guard that as we came in would greet us. Hey, everybody, good morning. Have a great day. So forth and so on.
Thank you.
And people would get on the elevator, Jackii, and say, who is he to tell me what kind of day to have?
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Because misery loves company.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm quite sure by now, and I don't know, maybe Milton is still alive, but I mean, he was older at that time, so I don't know if he's still around or not. But I remember him, his name was Milton, and I remember him, I could see him right now as I'm talking about. But he was security guard, and as we would come in, would greet us and have a nice day, have a great day, good morning. And people would literally get on the elevator. Who is he to tell us what kind of day to have? Now, it's not like he was saying have a miserable day.
Right.
He was saying have a great day, have a good day, hope everything is well. Couldn't accept it. And see, this is my thing. I'm big into the energy thing. People don't realize how much energy is zapped out of being hateful.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's such a waste of time, and it affects you not only emotionally, it affects you physically too, because, you know, it actually can cause you to have stress and all kind of other things. Where the other person is living their life just as happy as can be, and you are there just as bitter and angry as can be.
Well, see, that's the crazy part about forgiveness, and I have to laugh whenever I think about it. Because while you're running around here holding that grudge and not speaking and hating and all that, the other person's going on about their business. They're not thinking about you.
They're on social media just living their life.
They are not worrying and thinking about you, and here you are wasting all this energy trying not to speak and
Thank you.
So, and I'm sure in mediation, and see, it's funny because depending on what field you're in, people can always say, oh, I know you can write a book. Now, in your particular instance, and being in mediation, that's exactly what you've done. It's like you've taken now some of your experiences and captured them in the book. How did you choose which quotes you were going to take, which experiences you were going to write? Because as an educator, they tell us, I mean, you can write a book. Yes, I can. I mean, every day something comes up that if I were to write it down would make an interesting or funny story for somebody, or sad.
It was so difficult trying to decide on which quotes I was going to use. It was just, I think I don't know, I may have left out. I probably could have chose any other 15 to use than the one that I use now, because they were all so equally important. And every single topic, you can develop them and just analyze life and have it relate to that.
No, you're absolutely. Matter of fact,
so easy.
I like that whole concept. Now, the quotes that you're talking about, were they quotes like from other people or quotes or quotes that you've made up? Because I like the fact that you tagged the quote to now a life lesson.
Yes, because there are quotes that I hear, I've seen, people, back in the day they used to send you a quote for the day or something. I was a big Dennis Kimbrough. I just love those kind of books.
Right.
I just love motivational books and how you analyze people. And I've always been a reader. I've been a crazy reader. So, I've heard so many different quotes. Actually, I have one from Maya Angelou, which is just amazing. And she was my last. I put it in because I loved her so much that I said I have to have something that kind of reflects her. And that was the very last chapter, the second to last, right before forgiveness. It says that you might not forget what someone said to you, or you might sometimes forget what they did for you, but you would never forget how they made you feel.
Absolutely.
So that is so important to me, because when I think about it, that chapter, I kind of have a little reflection of when I was a child, when I first came to America, and how people used to say words don't hurt, and, brick and stuff. And I said, no, words do hurt. Just like you remember the positive things people say to you, you definitely stand out in your mind a negative, thing that someone had said to you, even as a child. Anything, it kind of stands out in your mind, and you don't really forget, and it stings when you think about it sometimes. So I tell a story about when I was, walking to the store when I was a kid, me and my little friends, and I was coming back to the store, and this woman pulls up in this car, and she says, "Hey, little girl." And I was like, "What?" And she said, "You're the prettiest black girl I've ever seen." And I was thinking, oh. And I just remember being so caught off guard for this woman telling me that I was pretty. You know? And I said thank you, but I never, to this day, I'll never forget that lady, what she said to me. And even if, I don't know if I thought I was pretty then, but I know after she told me that, I just knew I was the most beautiful thing in the world.
See, no, words do make a difference. Now, I know that little ditty, that little poem we say when we're kids, sticks and stones may make my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true, because even in the Bible, it talks about the tongue.
Oh, yeah, the tongue.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Right. That's the most powerful. That people think it's our muscles and our arms and our legs, but the most powerful, the thing that gives life and death on us is our tongues.
Tongue. That's right. It's the most dangerous weapon that you have. So I make it a point all the time to, if I see a young girl, I tell her how beautiful she is. If I see a young man, I tell him how handsome he is. If his pants is sagging or he's cursing you profanity, I said, young man, you are too handsome to behave like that. Young lady, you're too beautiful to be having that, going on in your life. You're going to be an amazing person when you grow up. So I try to encourage people. You get in the elevator, oh, my God, I love your shoes. Man, what a nice suit. I mean, I just try to, because you never know what those words are going to do for other people.
And for some people, that might be the only positive words that they hear throughout the day.
Only.
Right.
And sometimes they're taking out that, oh, thank you. And it's important, and I feel it's important for if everybody can just say something nice to someone every day, it changes the world.
No, it really does. So now, how did you come up with, because the title of the book is Dream Snatchers, and it says, after reading this book, it is my hope that you will recognize and avoid the dream snatchers in your life. A dream snatcher can be your closest friend, siblings, parents, or coworker. Everyone isn't going to like your dreams or care to see you evolve. In today's society, many people call this person a hater, quote unquote.
That's
but I call him or her a dream snatcher. They both are the same. Right. So let's talk a little bit about, just because we connected the quote to everyday life, and now your title is Dream Snatcher, which now, based on what I just read, gives us the understanding of it. So how'd you come up on that?
Well, Dream Snatchers is, I would have conversation with people, and they would talk about, how I always wanted to go to college. And I went to meet with my counselor. My counselor says, "Oh, honey, you're not college."
Oh my God!
Those things like that,
right?
Or people that are in relationships, and their spouse will say, "Oh, I know you want to go back to school, but you need to stay home and take care of the kids." That's a nice dream you have, but you can stay home and take care of the kids. So I was thinking about the dream that people have, and the front of my book, it has like all these things that we dream about. Homes, traveling, all these things you dream about, and the way that they can be taken from you, because these dreams that you have, people are there to kind of say, I don't think that's a good idea for you. No, you shouldn't do that. And, in any business or any endeavor that you do, there's going to be a million people that tell you, girl, you're stupid. That's the dumbest idea. Why would you want to do that? Where you want to go there? Just like when I travel, I get a million questions. Dubai, why you want to go there? They cut off the hand. What do you want? Oh, girl, you're going to Switzerland? Okay, girl, you know it. I mean,
I'm laughing because I travel as well, and we get the same thing. Last year I went to China, and we were getting the same thing.
Everywhere, and it's so interesting that the premise of Dream Snatchers, now that the book is out and it's going on, it's like 2 years since it's been out, when I go out and I do book signing and I do like these seminars and I meet people, you'll be amazed how people come back and they say, oh my God, do you know that I realized 70, 80 years old, my husband was a dream snatcher.
Wow.
My sibling was a dream. Do you know my spouse was a dream snatcher? My mom told me, bless her heart, she's going to be 85 in another couple of weeks.
Bless her is right. Yes.
She said, She said, I can't believe my youngest child had to let me realize that my husband was a dream snatcher. I said, my dad was a dream snatcher? She said, yes. She talks about how they came to America, and when she wanted to come to America, like in the late 60s, because she left me there with my other siblings and my aunt when I was 4. So she came to U.S. to work, as a nanny, and then she filed for my dad. Then my dad come, but when she was coming to the States, my dad was adamant about her not coming. No, you can't go to foreign. You don't want to go to America. I need you to stay here. And then she just said, I have to go just to better myself. So she came, and then a few years later, my dad joined her. So, and then every 4 years, she'll file for another 4 kids until we were all here. But she started working, went to school, nursing school, and my mom was working. And she came home one day, and my daddy said, you got to quit this job. I need you at home cooking.
Wow.
Working at night or whatever it is. So she said, so I had to quit my job. My dad was a custodian. My dad only had a 3rd grade education. But see, the fact about that is that the older people, their idea of being a man is providing for you.
Right.
The fact that she's now being the breadwinner, it takes away his manhood. So he's being a dream snatcher, but it's not intentional.
Correct.
He's there because he thinks he's taking away his manhood. So sometimes the dream snatcher is there to pull you back because they're uncomfortable with you being in another place, and they want to keep you where they're comfortable with dealing with you. So sometimes it's not intentionally, and sometimes it's malicious.
No, you're absolutely right. And that goes back to your first statement you was making earlier about sometimes it's not about you.
No.
Matter of fact, most of the time it's about the other person and how they view things. And that was a very good example you just used in terms of, from a socialization standpoint, the man is the breadwinner, the man is the one who does everything. And now whenever you kind of flip that script, it kind of messes up everybody else's picture. So now they're gonna try to make it fit their picture, which ultimately will snatch your dream.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, whenever a lot of times our parents come up in there, they're yelling and kicking and screaming at us as the teachers and the principals and so forth and so on. And I have to tell people, you know what? Don't react, because they're not angry at you.
No.
They're angry at life. They may be angry if they were in traffic on the way in. They're angry because they got a call about their child. They're angry. So don't respond back to them angry, because they really are not. And now it feels like they're angry at you because they're yelling at you. But it's really not about you. And I'm sure you see that in mediation all the time, especially like whenever you get into divorces and things like that.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I have a chapter that you should do better once you know better.
Right.
And that's in regards to us as parents, as children, as friends, because we all have these traditions that we grow up with, and we have an idea of what life should be. And you think, if my parents did this and it worked for them, it is what I'm going to continue to do, even though it wasn't the correct thing to do, because their idea of, I talk about dads who, you have a mom and dad in your house, and your dad is there every single day. You talk about, I had a two-parent household, but your dad was never really there. He never, relates to you. He never socializes with you. He just did come in, provide food for you guys to eat. You guys sit at the table together, but he's never concerned about how he's feeling. He's never, no hugs, no kisses, any of that, but he's there. But he's doing what his parents did. That's all he knows.
Exactly.
I am the provider, and that's my love.
Right.
That's it.
So in terms of, I'll bet you, and it's probably going to be a silly question, but I'll bet you even, and I don't know if okay, let me put it this way. Did you let people know when you were writing the book that you were writing a book? That's the first thing before I ask the next one. Okay.
Are you kidding? Oh, no.
Okay, so then, all right, the next question may not apply then, because I was going to say, I'll bet you when people knew you were writing a book, you were getting the same thing.
Oh, no. I made it a point not to have that discussion. Oh, no. When I actually finished the book and I did the invites and had the release, my friends were like, "What do you mean Jackii wrote a book? What do you?" I mean, my mom knew, and my sister, my sister knew, but my friends and other people, they didn't have a clue. They were just like, "She wrote a book. Why didn't you tell me my sister? Why didn't you tell me you were writing a book?"
Right.
And that's the thing. You want to share things with people, but you don't want to share everything.
Right, because as you just were saying in the title of the book, people will really try to talk you out of your dream. They really will, for whatever reason. It may, and again, it may not be personal. It might be just in their mind, they think they're trying to talk you out of something that's not in your best interests, or they may think it's something that's going to harm you. Because I'm the type of person that kind of like whatever it is that I really felt in my spirit that I wanted to do. Regardless of how crazy it may have seemed, I did it. I mean, again, when I was in my 20s and I had just started, like I was saying, working for AT&T, I just started working for them, had just recently gotten married, but I always wanted to go in the Air Force. And I didn't go in straight after high school because my parents were like, no, you go into college. And my father told me, well, if you ever really want to go in there, you can still always go after you graduate college. You have options then. So sure enough, graduated college, got married, was working for the largest company in the world, so on and so on, and I still wanted to go in the Air Force. And so I went in the Air Force, in the Air National Guard. And people were looking like, you're crazy. Like, you must be crazy. Why? Why are you doing that? Because I want to. Why? So, and then years later, I left corporate and went into education. I left corporate America and went back to what my first love was, which was really teaching. And again, took a half,
you want to do that.
Right. Took a salary cut. I mean, literally, my salary was cut 50%. And people looked at me again like I had three heads. Like, why would you leave one of the largest companies in the world to go teach school? Because I want to.
Right. Because you want to.
But if you listen to people, though, they can talk you out of some things.
They will. I'm telling you, they will plant that seed of doubt in your head, and you will second guess yourself all the time. That's just human nature. That's what they do. So you have to be firm, and you have to be persistent about what you want to do, no matter what anybody else has to say. If you believe in it, that's all that matters. Because I'm telling you, even when I was writing this book, and publishing, all that was just so. I didn't have a clue what it was. And you find 1 million people that says, "Oh yeah, girl, I got you. I know somebody." All they do is talk. All the talk. Oh yeah, you know. Don't worry. I have a friend of a friend. All these people. Everybody has a friend of a friend, and all these things. Even after the book, I have people to reach out to me who is interested in having the book for some group or something. Or I get somebody calling and say, "Oh my God, I read your book. Your book is really great. I got a legal question. What if my husband,
Right.
What if my job is not paying me all this stuff that's totally unrelated? Now you want me to give you legal advice.
Right.
Now you want to know, how do I do this? You know, and then I had this, it was so interesting one day. I was at this book signing, and this girl and her husband walks up to my book signing, and she said, "Oh, dream snatchers. Tell me about dream snatchers." And I was saying, dream snatchers are like negative people in your life, naysayers who try to prevent you from living those dreams that you want to pursue and try to be a negative influence in your life. "Oh, no, I don't have those kind of people in my life. I have a perfect life." I said, "That's probably why you're probably the actual dream snatcher instead of the other people. You're the one snatching the other people's dreams."
Well, and sad but true. Because
that was true, because no, she was sophisticated. No, she has her little, I call him Pilgrim, her little white husband.
Right.
She's rolling through with her pumps. "Oh no, I don't have those kind of problems." I said, "Well, you're probably the dream snatcher. You don't know it."
Right. Absolutely right. And I know in other, like we were talking about, motivational or self-help books or self-development books, whatever they call them now, there's, I think John Gordon, or one of them, is a couple of authors, they describe what the dream snatchers you're describing as energy vampires.
Exactly.
Right.
They are. It's basically the same thing. But I think when you say a dream snatcher, you realize, oh my God, yeah, because we all have dreams and aspirations. There's always going to be obstacles in front of you, people trying to tell you no, no, no. Every time you hear like a famous entertainer or a famous singer, they always say, "I got 1 million no's, and all I needed was that one yes."
Right.
And all the no's do is encourage you that, "I must be doing something right."
Correct.
Keep going.
No, that is correct. And I mean, and the thing is I can't tell because again, whenever it's not about you, because it's really hard as a human being not to take some things personally. But a lot of times the dream snatchers per se, sometimes it's out of jealousy. Sometimes it's, I don't want you to look better than me. I don't want you. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that. And like some of it might be, I'm thinking in terms of your best interest, at least what I think it is. But some of it is not that. Some of it is that, well, you're going to outshine me.
That's right. A lot of it is that, oh, she thinks she's better than everybody.
Right.
She thinks Oh, yeah. She thinks she's better than everybody all the time. Even family.
Right. So do you have the book somewhere near you?
Huh?
Do you have your book somewhere near you? Because sometimes what I'll do is, especially when it's a short read, like what you're describing, like it sounds like, and I don't have it in front of me, but it sounds like there's the quote and then behind it, you've written something behind the quote that connects to it. Do you have, I'll tell you what, in the next couple of minutes or so while we're talking, pick out a chapter or a page or two, because a lot of times what I like for the audience to hear is the author read his or her own book, because the reader actually gets to hear it from the horse's mouth. In other words, when you're writing it, you know the tone you want it to sound like. If you know, as a reader, we just read the words, but as the writer, you know exactly what the tone was going in your head, what inflections you wanted to put, the pauses. So find something that you want to read for us on the air, one of them, and then we'll do that. So I'll give you a couple minutes. We don't have to do it right now, but you're absolutely right. And see, for those of us, this is the crazy part about this. Because it's funny that you put in the bio, the book bio, about how these folks were known as haters, quote unquote. Yeah. But it's funny for those of us who really do try to look at things from a positive perspective. You know, we're known kind of like as Pollyannas, or the people with wearing the pink glasses, or we're unrealistic, or but the truth of the matter is, no, just the same way you can be negative is the same way you can be positive.
Oh yeah. It takes less energy to be positive.
Right. No, that's what I was saying earlier. It really is, but it's a hard. The negativity abounds. I mean, it is astounding how, because truly at the end of the day, love is going to rule. Love will trump hate. I don't care what anybody says.
No matter what.
Love, right. Good is going to outdo evil when it's all said and done. I mean, for those of us who are believers, we know we got the victory. It may look bleak, but at the end of the day, positive is going to win. But there are a lot of folks really working hard to make negative win.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's because they are insecure about their lives and don't want to actually take the opportunity to look at their lives, because if they look at it, they're not going to like what they see.
Right.
And then that's going to require them to make changes, and the changes going to take work, and they're not required to put in they're not. And
that's interesting you can say, because again, I know you didn't catch the first, or maybe you did, I don't know, but what I do, I open up every show reading from two books. One is by Joyce Meyer, and the other is by Iyanla Vanzant. And Joyce Meyer's book is The Power of Being Thankful, the Strength of Gratitude, so forth and so on. But the other one is called Until Today by Iyanla Vanzant, and they're perpetuals. So for today's, and it worked out again as God would have it, that the reading this morning connects with what we're talking about. And I'm going to suffer the audience through again the reading, because it connects. So for today, January 27th, this is what Iyanla says. Life will work for me when I realize I am totally, completely, and fully responsible for what goes on in my life. One of the greatest challenges in creating a joyful, peaceful, and abundant life is taking responsibility for what you do and how you do it. As long as you can blame someone else, be angry with someone else, point the finger at someone or something else, you are not taking responsibility for your life. Sure, things happen. It is absolutely true that there are situations, circumstances, social constructs, and common elements that can do and do affect you. It is your responsibility, however, to determine how and how long they affect you. It is easy to find reasons not to be responsible. In fact, many of us are not aware of how we do it or that we do it at all. Not taking responsibility for your life means blaming, finding causes, excuses, and reasons for what is going on in your life as if they had nothing to do with you. Not taking responsibility means crying or complaining about the good that is not happening while making very few efforts to determine that it will happen. Not taking responsibility means asking someone to do for you the things you must do for yourself and being angry when they don't do it. It cannot be said loud enough or enough times. Your life is your responsibility. Think of it this way. If you cannot be responsible for your life, how can you expect to be responsible for the good things you want to receive? Until today, you may have held others responsible or blamed external situations and circumstances for the conditions of your life. Just for today, be devoted to surveying your life. Identify the areas that are dysfunctional, challenged, or simply not as you would have them be. Make a list of all the things you can do to create the needed change. Make a plan to execute the things that you have put on the list. Today, I'm devoted to taking full responsibility for everything that is going on in my life. And see, to me, someone who falls in this, what Iyanla described, yes, they would fall into dream snatcher.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Exactly.
Because they're going to blame everybody else for what's not happening to them.
Woe is me.
Right. And then try to tear down somebody who is trying to do something.
And that leads me to go to my chapter on don't make your story an addiction.
There you go. So you had it. Are you ready to go with it?
I am ready to go.
All right, so I'm going to turn the mic off and you go ahead and read from the book. All right, so our guest author this morning, Jackii Lawrence, is reading from her book, Dream Snatchers.
That's right. So my chapter 5 is don't make your story an addiction. So life is so funny sometimes. I enjoy going home to my homeland in Jamaica, not only because it's beautiful, but it's to see family. Every decade, my family put together this big family reunion, and I look forward to it. Hundreds of relatives come from all over the United States, Canada, England, and other small islands, just so we can get together and participate in various activities. The planning stage can be stressful, so sometimes myself is part of the planning committee. So every year we do this, I say to myself, I'm never going to do this again, but then I end up doing it, and the reunion ends up being a success. As part of the reunion committee, it is my job for me to update the humongous family tree. So by doing this, it becomes very difficult. So I am constantly going because the tree is constantly growing and my family is growing. My biggest challenge is preparing the very first family tree because it was never done before. So I had to find a starting point. So I thought the best way for me to do this is to go to the oldest living family members and have them pour out all the names and the information that they can to me. During this stage, every name was accompanied by a story. I mean, I will find myself so intrigued that I would visualize the event as the story is told to me about various family members as they speak. As I listen to some of these stories, I realize that there is no doubt that my family had to be a strong family because they had to struggle to settle on this small island. The struggle allowed them to obtain this beautiful spot with all this beautiful land, and the sweetness is just seeing everybody, how they accomplished their dreams and just appeared strong in this island. So sometimes I talk to people, and they would tell stories over and over again. It will be a story about their family history or maybe a story about some incident that occurred in their lives. It will be a story about how they were mistreated or about how they were not able to achieve success, that the man kept them down. I often wonder to myself who they would be if they did not have this story. Will they still be there? Sometimes the story is used to provide an explanation or an excuse for an event that happens in their life. And that can be harmful. Harm can be done if a sad story that is used to define a person. Once the event is finished, you are no longer in that negative situation. The situation may have helped you develop into a person that you are now. You're not only going to be here, even though the event has passed, you're still going to exist because you're not defined by your existence. If you were addicted to drugs, if you were a alcoholic, and you're no longer drinking, and you're no longer doing drugs, the drugs are going to exist, but you're still going to be around. So if we're not careful, we will find ourselves defining ourselves by the sad stories that we tell. Statements like, I am an alcoholic, I am a drug addict, and if it wasn't for this person or this thing, I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in now. These statements can sometimes leave you in a state of hopelessness. A person recall being on alcoholism, being a drug addiction person, they still stand there and they still existed either if the alcohol or drug is still there. Your experience in the person is not what you are. The drug is still going to exist whether you're there or not. So your job is to use these negative situations to elevate yourself to become a better person. Being addicted to your story causes you to use it as an excuse for your circumstances today. Use your story to catapult you to being a better place and being a place of gratitude that you survive whatever the situation that you are, that you're able to overcome this and know that you're desired to be something else. There is no denying that remembering a negative situation in your life can be difficult to overcome. But the fact that you are here is proof that it is possible. We all use the story to empower and encourage others. Consider this. You are not defined by your stories. Reflecting on the past will help you move forward. Use your story to empower and encourage others.
Absolutely. And see, I'm listening intently as you were reading that, and there's a couple of things that leaped out immediately. Near the end of the chapter, you said, I am an alcoholic. I am a drug addict. What people don't realize is what they put behind those two words, I and am, is what they become. That becomes your reality.
Right.
So if you're constantly saying I am, that's why I don't say negative I am statements. This morning, whenever you called in, I asked you how you were doing. You said, I am wonderful. That's what you said. And you asked me back, how are you doing? I said, I am wonderful as well. And see, what we put behind those words, I and am, becomes our reality. The other thing I heard you say, the whole thing about the chapter in and of itself was being defined by your story. Now, some people, because if it's a bad story or a negative story, they receive pity and attention by that. So for some people...
Exactly.
So for some people, that's their way of gaining attention by constantly sharing this negative story, or as you said earlier, woe is me.
Right, because they're defined, but they're not important unless they have the story.
Correct.
They have the story to tell you over and over again, and you're like, oh wow, and I got empathy for the person, but they do nothing to change their circumstances. There's you know how people from your old neighborhood, and you go to visit them, they're the same situation. You go to man, I'm just trying to make it. Man, trying to hold me back. Like, damn, I was here 10 years ago, and you still there? I'm just trying to make it. I'd be sitting on the porch every single day. Cars go by. Have no desire to do anything else. Have not left their block, let alone the city. But woe is me.
Oh my God, I am laughing. I had to turn the mic button off because I'm sitting here crying, but you're absolutely right. And I tell the kids that I work with every day, I try to help them understand, look, you have got to get your education now, because if you don't, exactly what you described is what they're going to be saying. Exactly. You're going to be standing on the block talking about why you can't get a job, what the white man won't do for you. You know, bruh, Right. And exactly.
It is funny, but it is so, you'll be amazed at how many people have that story.
And knowing full well they did not do what they needed to do to prepare themselves. And at the same time, they tell you just trying to get along. No, you're not trying.
No, you're not.
You're not trying. Sitting on the porch or standing on the block in front of the liquor store is not trying.
That's it. This is it for you. You get up every day and this is it. This is it, right? Okay.
Oh my goodness. Let me be clear, listening audience. I'm not laughing at the person in that position, but I am laughing at the fact that the stories are the same. I'm laughing at the fact that the words and the quotes, regardless of what part of the country you in, are the same. And the truth of the matter is they aren't trying. And the truth of the matter is they didn't do what they needed to do to prepare themselves to do something different. And back to what Iana was saying, they're blaming everybody else. They're blaming the man. They're blaming the system. They're blaming this. No, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And then in the meantime, for someone who is trying to do it, they want to tear them down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at her thinking she's bad.
You're right.
She'll come in here with her hoity-toity. Where'd she get those words from anyhow? She's better than everybody. Fancy clothes, a fancy car, whatever.
I had a situation. We were sending a note home to parents yesterday, and my vice principal wrote the letter, and she was giving it to me for my review. So she starts off the letter with, "We request the honor of your presence." And so I said, you know what, we're going to just get plain and change. We're just going to we invite you to a meeting that's going to be, I said, because they're not going to connect with that. We request the honor of your presence. They're not going to connect with that. They're just not. Because again, they're going to do exactly who they think they are, talking with all this kind of, when in reality, They should be able to connect with it. But they're not, because they didn't do, again, as children or coming along the line, what they were supposed to do. And they're going to blame everybody else. So they would now receive that letter. Oh, they think they better than us. Exactly what you just said.
Good. And then big old fancy words.
Right. Exactly. So when you said that, that's immediately my mind went back to that, and I just had to start laughing once again. I was like, no, we're gonna have to change. I'm not saying we got to dumb it down, but we got to put it in plain language. Just, you know what? We invite you to a meeting.
Break down the kindergarten level.
Exactly. We got to put this. We got to put this in plain language. We invite you to a meeting Monday at 4:00.
That's it.
But I understood where she was coming from, because again, once you're around folks that have done what they needed to do, that's the way we communicate. And it's not a matter of being better than anybody else. It's just that you've done what you needed to do, and you're around a crowd that's done what they needed to do, and that's how we communicate. But it is sad, and it really is, because it's this crazy. And then when you break it down in terms of this whole thing race-wise, I know in the African American community, we always talk about how we're like crabs in a barrel, how every other group will help and support each other get where they need to get to collectively. Where in the African American community, whether it's real, perceived, imagined, whatever, but it does seem to be that way. If one of us starts to rise, one of us will be there pulling us back out.
Yeah.
It's that's why they call it the crabs in a barrel thing. Or,
I know you probably can relate to this with your wife being from the island. But I get, when I go to meetings, when I go to any different events, they'll say, I'm not talking to you. You're not the regular black.
Right.
You're from the, you're the different. You're not
right.
the same as them. You're different. Or they have this idea of, I would say, I lived in L.A. all my life. I went to Crenshaw High School. You went to Crenshaw High School?
Right.
Isn't that in the hood? How come you don't talk like that?
See, that I get all the time, because just as famous as Crenshaw is on the West Coast is as famous as the high school I went to on the East Coast, because they made the whole movie about the principal who was there at that time, Joe Clark, Lean on Me.
Yes.
All right. So the high school I went to was the school Lean on Me was filmed about. It was Eastside High School.
Wow.
So I get the same thing. When people see on my resume that I graduated from Eastside High School, I get the same thing.
Yeah, they're like, what? I remember my very first job I got out of college. I was working at this law firm in Santa Monica. And every day I would come to work and I would go and do my work, just do my thing, whatever. And this partner came up to me one day and she said, Jackii, how can you afford those nice clothes you wear on your salary? I said, well, when I leave in the afternoon, I'm a prostitute and my husband's a dope dealer. And I said it just like that, and she stood there. She turned beet red and walked away.
See, I'll have to turn the mic button off again. But I know exactly where you're coming from. How about, you know what, on my salary, I'm very good with my finances. I know how to budget. I know how to work my money, this, that, and the other. I mean, why couldn't it be that? So I'm glad you responded the way that you did.
Because your idea is thinking the only way I can afford this suit is, I'm just lost. It never entered my mind to say, how can you afford those shoes you have on?
Right.
That never entered my mind to ask anybody.
Right.
As long as the fact that she was emboldened enough to come to me and ask me that, I just had to shut her down.
Because first response, natural response, nasty or ghetto response would be none of your business. But like you said, I'm glad you know what, that you did it just the way you were supposed to do. That's a excellent response. And you'll
never forget that. Never forget that.
If you've just joined us, and we're having a good time, as you can tell. My guest this morning is Jackii Lawrence. She is the author of the book Dream Snatchers. And the whole premise of the book is how, when one has a dream, and particularly if they happen to share it, how other people will try to tear it down, either verbally or body language wise, facial expression wise, or what have you. So she's put a book together that each chapter begins with a quote, and she ties the life lesson to that quote. Matter of fact, I want to be clear on the one you gave me earlier, to make sure I write it correctly when I put it on Twitter in a couple of minutes. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you said it?
Oh, yes.
See, I like that. I'm going to put that up on right now, and I'll put your name behind it. I'll quote it and put whether you were the originator of it or not. You said it this morning, so I'll say, on the reading circle, you said this, so forth and so on. But it is so true. So each chapter in the book begins, quote or more than one quote that tags it to a life story. And Jackii works in mediation. So I know clearly, just as they tease me all the time saying, I know you could write a book. I know you could write a book because I mediate not as a mediator per se, but I mediate with kids and adults every day in a school setting. And and I have been in mediation sessions in the court setting. So I kind of know how that goes too. So, I mean, you're really, like you said, you're trying to get both sides to see the other side.
That's right.
And I had a situation like a lot of my mediation things comes up between not just the kids, but a lot of times between parent and teacher.
Yeah.
And, I always tell all my administrators, I said, look, this is the objective of this meeting when we go into it, is that both sides don't necessarily agree with what happened, but they will walk out of the room saying, I could see how it could happen.
Yes.
That's the objective. Anytime I meet with a parent and a teacher, if something has gone down, they feel like the teacher touched their child or graded the child unfairly or whatever, I try to get both sides to understand. You may not agree, but at least could you understand how it could have happened or what each other might have been thinking?
Identifying the underlying need.
Right.
And coming on common ground in resolving whatever the issue is by listening to both parties and coming to a mutual agreement.
And most of the time, my parents leave out of the building smiling. They come in hot and huffy, and they'll leave out smiling. And that's my objective. You can leave out of here smiling. I'm good.
That's right. Because how dare you, tell Taekwon he couldn't come and sit at fire. Because that's what they do.
That's exactly right.
Right?
That's exactly right.
If you can fight for him improving that score in the SAT,
right?
Fight for Taekwon, getting kicked out of dance class, man.
Right.
I'll be on his way, man.
But yeah, that's because the kids are very good at playing two ends against the middle, and that's one of the first things I'll let the parent know right up front. Look, this is not school against you, you against the school. We're on the same team for the best interest of your child. So that's how I start the meeting right off the bat. So whatever we talk about here, it has to be in the best interest of your child. So once we kind of get into the scenario, like I said, well, could you see how that could happen? And once the parent kind of gets a feel for what the child was doing, and once at the same time the teacher can get a feel for why the parent would be thinking the way they're thinking, that's when we kind of come to that common ground you were just talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So so I, for those that are in mediation, I take my hat off to you, because that's the other thing about people have some really twisted and warped views.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, they have. I'm telling you, they have. I mean, even because I'm in my leadership board at my church, right? And then I have this Wednesday night Bible study at my house every Wednesday, and I have these 12 to 15 women come, and we do these various exercises and trying to figure out how to just understand situations that are going in everybody's life and how they relate to Scripture, and how we have an idea of tradition and traditional things, how things are supposed to be, and that's our idea of what is right or wrong. But it's not actually true. The right or wrong is what the Scripture says, and there is no wavering and no adjusting to it. We just have a different reality of what we think it's supposed to be. So you get people who come in and they're like, man, I never thought about it that way. I've never thought about how this relationship developed between my home and my children.
Right.
As it relates to God.
And see, that's what earlier, like I was telling you in the commentary this morning, I was talking about the defiance of the children. Jackii, this is what we get. I'm seeing a level of defiance that is unreal, but at the same time, the child or the adult, for that matter, honestly expect that they can be defiant. They can do what they want, how they want, when they want, to whoever they want, and any old way they want. And they're still supposed to get something good to come back to them, whatever they want. So you're able to defy me, to give me your posterior to kiss, to turn your back on me, to talk to me and treat me any old kind of way, and yet I'm supposed to turn around and give you what you want.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. So that's what when I say a lot of these people walk into these sessions with a really twisted view that they're going to come in there and bully you
Yes.
And they're going to get what they want by cursing you out and this, that, and the other. And like, we're not rolling like that. It's like, no, we're going to talk this thing out and
fight. And once we fight, then what happens?
Right. Oh my God. I'm so glad because this is what I get from the kids. I had to get my hit back. And that's exactly what you just said. Okay. And then what? You got your hit back. And then what?
Then what? So,
and they look at me strange when I ask that question. Okay. And you got your hit back. And
yeah. I mean, I have a way of dealing with people, because my pet peeve is profanity and cursing me out. And
right.
I cringe when I hear the N-word. So
hang here.
Whenever, my family members, whenever something happens, there's a conflict, they'll call, let me call Auntie Jackie so she can talk to the people. Now, I will read you, but I'm going to read kind, good words. I'm gonna let you know what is not okay, and this is not
right.
Gonna happen here. And this is how we're gonna proceed from now on.
Absolutely. I mean,
this is what my expectations
absolutely.
are. You understand? You don't have to. Let me tell you something, blah blah. And first, I don't have to go there. I'm gonna be very clear.
Right.
And this is what you're not gonna do.
Right. You're absolutely right. I have walked out of meetings on parents because, they were belligerent, wouldn't allow me to speak or whatever. I was like, you know what? The meeting's over. It's that simple. I don't have to take this verbal abuse. The meeting's over. When you calm down, you want to come back and talk, then we can meet. Other than that, the meeting's over. I'll get up and walk out. I really have to. Yesterday, when I tell you them two children were fighting, the mother came in there all amped up and hyped up. Now, mind you, I have her daughter in my office to protect her. She's in there hollering and screaming like, why the other girl ain't in here? Like, no, ma'am, I have your daughter in here to keep her from the other girl from getting to her and her to get to the other girl. That's why I'm holding her here. She's yelling at me because I'm keeping her daughter in safety. And at the same time saying, this school don't keep my daughter safe. Like, so I didn't even entertain her. She grabbed her daughter and went out the office. Go. I'm not going to argue with you. Just like your quote just said, I just put it on Twitter. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to.
No. Why?
Right. So I'll tell you what, it's 8 o'clock. Let me do what I need to do in the 8 o'clock hour, and we'll continue on for another 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, and then I'll give you an opportunity to promote, and then before you know it, our time will be just about up. And Millie, I've had a blast.
I've had an amazing time. This is just so amazing.
Yeah, I have had a blast. So hang on a second. Let me share the weather and all that stuff with the folks again, and we'll continue talking.
WPSC, Wayne, New Jersey. On the radio, 88.7 FM. Online, gobrave.org. A tune-in radio station. Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey.
This is
The Innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The Fearless.
They have awesome variety.
The Kick-Ass.
I love Brave New Radio.
The Sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed. You are listening to Brave New Radio, and I'm going to share the weather with you. We have crept up to 25 degrees. We are halfway to where we're going for the day, which is a high of 50 or 51, actually. Our low today is going to be 42, and it's going to be sunny all day today. And then on tomorrow, Sunday, 49 as a high, 31 as a low, and it's going to be cloudy. And then on Monday, 43 is a high, 27 as a low, mostly sunny. Tuesday, cloudy, 35 as a high, 16 as a low. And then on Wednesday, sunny, 33 as a high, 26 as a low. Not bad since we're in old man winter, but I mean, for me, I'm a heat person. Jackie, I would do well living in Jamaica. I'd be all right. Florida, Jamaica, any of them warm weather climates, I'd do okay.
Yeah, I need sunshine 24/7.
Yeah, see, I'm just answering because people say, I have to have the cold, I have to have the 4 seasons. I said, no, I don't. It just happened that I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm accustomed to it. But if I had my way, I could be in a warm weather climate all year round. It wouldn't faze me. It really wouldn't.
That doesn't work for me.
If you have joined us, we are in the 8 o'clock hour. It is 8:07. My guest this morning is author Jackii Lawrence. Actually, Jackie's a mediator. She's been in the legal system for years, but she's also an author, and her book is Dream Snatchers. And we have been having a ball talking about those folks who are dream snatchers. And really, for those of us who do have our dreams, you can't allow the dream snatchers to take your dream away from you. no matter how hard they try, whatever the commentary is, whatever they say, you got to press on to whatever you're dreaming, no matter how far-fetched or out of reach it may seem. That's your dream.
That's right.
And there are folks, for whatever reason, will try to talk you out of your dream. And if you allow that to happen, one day you will look back and say, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. And that's a bad spot to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Bad spot to be in. I have very few regrets in life. Very few. I have a couple, but very few. But one of them, some would say, is kind of silly. And it goes all the way back to my high school years at Eastside High School. Eastside, at the time I was there, had one of the best bands in the land. We used to do halftime shows at giant football games and net basketball games. And we were, our band director at the time, he patterned everything after Florida A&M. And at the time, Florida A&M band was one of the best bands in the country. I mean, the uniforms were designed the same way. The routines and the steps were the same. I mean, our band had it going on. And I played the piano. So I played for the concert choir and the boys' glee, girls' glee. I mean, anything that had anything to do with the vocal side, I was the accompanist for. I also played in the jazz band later on. But the band director came to me, Jackii, and said, you know, you're an outstanding musician. I'll teach you to play any other instrument you want so that you can march. You name the instrument, I'll teach you how to play it, and you can become a part of the marching band. I told him no. Right. To this day, I regret telling him no. I regret not having taken the opportunity to march in that marching band, because I could have easily took on the drums or one of the other instruments, because I already knew music. I already knew how to read it. I already knew rhythms. But I just told him no. So a year or two later, he came to me. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I was playing outside my house, and he was riding his bike down the street, and he stopped and he saw me. So I tell you what, since you didn't want to march, you want to come play in the jazz band? I told him yes so fast, I don't think the Y or the S got out quick enough.
Wow, you see that? Because I have a chapter that says, only regret sets in when you have nothing to look forward to.
Uh-huh. And that, I mean, like I said, for some that, I mean, if that's the only regret I have in life, it's relatively minor, but it's still something that to this day, and this is going back now almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
That I did not march in that marching band. And I could have.
And for whatever reason it was, it prevented you from, you never knew what would have happened if you would have taken
correct.
That. Right.
Right. May have wound up drum major. May have done, who knows? May have wound up getting a scholarship to another school. Who knows where it would have led to?
Yeah, they're trying to, I mean, I'm telling you, there are things in life that we kind of wish we can go back and change. It would have handled it differently.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, there are things that happen that I think I wish I would have handled it differently. But no, once I know that there's always tomorrow and there's a possibility to make something positive that was a negative outcome, I'm excited about it.
Right. And see, and I share that story to say, on that particular instance, that was me who killed my own dream. Right. But there are those who allow others to talk them out of their dream. And then you'll get to a point, right, years down the road saying, why did I let such and such talk me out of that?
Right? Because you think about it, when they talk, I had this lady who came to my book signing one day, and she said her daughter wanted to be a singer. Her daughter was like 8 years old, and she was sing away. And then one day she came home, and she was not singing anymore. And they will ask her to sing. She refused to sing. Come to find out, one of her aunts told her that you're not a good singer, honey. You shouldn't be singing.
That's what it was that you said. Right. That's what it was you said that I meant to comment on, too, when you were talking about the guidance counselor or a counselor in school that tells a child they're not college material.
Oh, I know so many people who's been told that. Oh,
I have, too. And
college is not for you, girl.
Yeah, Jackii, every school
I have masters and PhDs now. Okay.
I have every school that I have been in charge of or led or leading. One of the first people I meet with is the guidance counselor, and I let him and her know with no shadow of a doubt, if I ever hear tell of you telling a child he or she is not college material, I will go after your license.
Yeah, it is so. That's like one of the biggest obstacles that the kids face is someone that you expect to be encouraging you to be your best and go after your dreams, them trying to keep you in this place where they don't want you to prosper. Hey, in kindergarten they do that. They separate the smart kids come on this side,
right.
the dumb kids on this. They start very early.
Absolutely right. And see, back to what we were talking about, the tongue and the words and how powerful they are. Absolutely. So a book like yours, like I said, have you ever had a situation, which I'm quite sure you haven't, where someone has read your book and said, you know what, girl, had I not read your book? And a lot of times the people won't give you that feedback, but have you ever gotten feedback saying, you know what, your book encouraged me?
Oh, yes, I have. I mean, I went to this book club, and they read the book, and then they had me come back to talk to them about the book. And you'll be amazed at these women and these stories that they tell, that how these chapters related to them and how they're able now to go towards forgiveness for family members, how they're able now to pursue this dream of being, starting this business, how they were resentful about these friends that they had in their lives, and, the relationships are not the same anymore, and how the book let them realize that people are just in your life for a season. And as you grow, then you might lose people because they're only there for a season, and you move on. If you're not moving on to different people, or you're having a different circle, then your life is not evolving and changing. You're thinking, oh, my God, I was thinking that, man, I'm a failure because I thought this, was something wrong with me. But it's like a progression that you have in your life. So you'll be amazed at all these different stories you hear from people who read the book. So I tell people, before you approach the conflict with the co-worker, your spouse, read the book first. And you're going to have a totally different perspective on how to deal with it. Because, first of all, you're going to develop empathy. And that's the most important thing.
No, it really is. I had this conversation earlier this week because this is my 17th year on the air, and I do this as a hobby. This is not a paid gig for me doing the show on Saturday mornings, but it's for me, again, something I want to do. And it's a very unique opportunity because there are very few people who are on a real radio station. I mean, I know with technology now, we can have our own stations and blogs and podcasts and all that kinds of, but this is a real radio station. In other words, this is an FM radio station heard in the New York, New Jersey area. Also,
and you're changing people's lives every day.
Right, and we web stream around the world. Anybody, anywhere in the world, if they can get to the internet and go to gobrave.org, they can hear the show. So people always ask me, I can't believe you get up at 4:30 on Saturday morning to go do a show that you don't get paid for. And I said, but first off, it's a unique opportunity. Yeah. Very few people have that opportunity, and I'm grateful and thankful for it. But secondly, it's something that I love to do. I get a chance to meet people from all around the country and all around the world. And I've met over the 17 years, the famous and the not so famous. I've met people with fascinating stories. I mean, in politics and entertainment and education and all walks of life. Like I'm talking to you this morning, you're in the mediation field. I mean, I have met people over the 17 years. So people are looking at me like, but you don't get paid for that. Well, not in money, no, but in other ways, yes.
No, you're getting paid.
Yes.
Priceless.
Right. So, but there again, there are people trying to, like, well, you're crazy for doing that. Like, well, no.
They want that spot. They want that spot. If only he would just retire. Move on to do something else.
But no, I mean, I have met folks from like Nikki Giovanni to Judge Hatchett to ambassadors that worked with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama to, Newt Gingrich. I've interviewed his daughter, Martin Luther King's nephew, Martin Luther King's cousin. I mean, I've had an opportunity to meet people from all over. Teresa that's working with you had the opportunity to interview Thelma from Good Times. Yes. I had the opportunity, and people looked at me like, you had a chance to talk to her? Yes, I did. I mean, she was just as down to earth. Just like me and you were talking, is the same way me and Thelma were talking. The same way me and Bernadette. I call it Thelma because that's what everybody knows her as. But the same way Bernadette.
That's right.
We were talking the same way. But it's afforded me the opportunity to meet people from all walks of life.
Yeah, that's important.
It really is. And again, so that's why I rise early on Saturday mornings because I leave out of here like at a different level every Saturday morning.
And you realize that you have so much in common with these people that you had no idea you had never thought you had in common. You have so much in common with these people.
Right. So like the conversation I've had with you this morning has lifted my spirits to no end. I've had a blast. You made me laugh.
Amazing. Like we've been knowing each other forever.
Absolutely. You made me laugh. The scenarios are real. I totally connect to what you're talking about because I experience it on a daily basis. I know you as doing mediation. Oh, I know. And like I said, people walk into these meetings and rooms with some warped views. They really do.
Oh, yeah.
And so now as the mediator, you have to get both sides going. I mean, you got the president always talking about he makes great deals. Like, no. You want to talk about the great deals, get in a mediation session. That's where the deal making is being made. Whenever you got to go in there and take two people that are most likely at odds, and you have to now bring them together. Right. So I tell you, in terms of at this point, like I said, we get to the point in the interview where I shut down. I don't talk anymore for a few minutes, and I allow the guests to promote anything they want to promote with the exception of a dollar amount. So you can say anything you want to say about Dream Snatchers, any book signings, appearances, how folks can get in touch with you, websites, anything you want to say in these few minutes. You can do that. I'm going to shut the mic off and allow you to promote. You just cannot say a dollar amount, but anything else is up for grabs. All right.
All righty. Yes. So I am so glad that I had this opportunity to talk to you guys today. I mean, my book, Dream Snatcher, it will change your life. I just feel that once you read this book, your approach on conflict is going to change. I mean, my book is here to help you, just motivate you to live your best life and realize that the Dream Snatcher is real. They stay busy, and you have to find ways to go around those obstacles that they put in front of you for you to become your best you. My book is here just to encourage you to live your best life. I mean, you can go to my website, JoelieDreamPublishing.com. I am on social media on the Jackii Lawrence, Jackii Lawrence, and my book is also on Facebook as well. It's on Dream Snatchers. You look up Dream Snatchers, you'll hit me up there. I mean, I'm always willing to talk to anyone who has a question and has concern about various issues. I'm here to help you live your best life. But once you read Dream Snatchers, you have a conflict that you need to address. If you read it first, it's going to help you deal with that conflict. It's going to help you develop empathy for the people that you're having a conflict with and give you more of an open mind. So I just hope that today that I was able to encourage you and help you look forward to something amazing in your life, and that I will be a source of reference for you when you have conflict that you want to address. And I just thank you guys for your time that you take for listening to me and the opportunity to just come on and share with you guys about my book, Dream Snatchers. All right, let's see. You can find out more about Jackii and the book on the website www.dreamspublishing.com. That's www.joliedreamspublishing.com. JOLEDREAMS publishing.com. You can learn all about the book. I've had an absolute blast because, we could spend, like I'm on the air till 9 and I have to do some other things, but we could spend the rest of the interview when you start talking about dream snatchers from the religious standpoint, from the believer standpoint of the head dream snatcher. Oh, yes. We could talk, and I won't even go down that road because I know we'll continue talking. But there's the head dream snatchers that's running all the other dream snatchers, and that's none other than Satan, the enemy. Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him or her. That's the head dream snatcher. Because it says in the Bible, he comes to kill, seeks to kill, destroy. So the head dream snatcher that's his or her job, is to destroy your dreams. And he's very good at it. He's on his job. He knows how you like it, and the way you like it, He knows. Absolutely. So I thank you so much for rising early with me this morning, because again, it's 8:21 my time, so it's about, 5:21 your time? But since this is your time of the day, I guess you're up. So most of my guests, I tell them go on back to bed, but this is your time of day. But I do thank you for rising with me early. Had a blast talking to you. I wish you nothing but the best with Dream Snatchers. And if any other works come out, feel free to either you or Teresa get in touch with me, and we'll have you on the air again. It sounds awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I do look forward to connecting with you again in the future.
All right, I've recorded the show, and if everything works out and comes out okay, I archive it on my YouTube channel, and I'll send Teresa or either you a copy of the MP3 link, and you can do whatever you'd like with it.
Oh, awesome. That sounds wonderful.
All right.
That would.
All right. Well, have a blessed day, blessed week, blessed month, blessed year, and we'll be in touch.
Bless up.
All right now. That's right. Take care. All right. Well, that ends this edition of the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. And as I said in the introduction, Jackii was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica. So there was a connection there because my wife was born in Jamaica as well. So immediately, after we started talking about that, we hit it off from the get-go. And we made some serious connections there, and there was a lot of commonalities. So had a lot of fun with Jackii this morning, and last week had a lot of fun with Cedric. And not only do we have fun, the interviews, my hope is that they are informational for you as well, that they're educational, they're informational, they're inspirational, as well as entertaining, and we have some fun with it. So again, her book is Dream Snatchers. I love the way she put the book together in terms of using quotes we may have heard and then tagging it to life experiences and how you could apply it. So the book is Dream Snatchers. It is available on Amazon, but you're probably better off going to the Jolie site. And again, that website is www.joliedreamspublishing.com.